Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. brandlive.co.za.
Good morning, everyone. You have tuned into the WITEE Chatterbots show, Women in Tech Empowering Everyone. Hashtag us on WITEE. Sorry, I had a little bit of a stumble there.
Tuesday morning.
We are coming to you live from the Bohemian city of Melville, from out of our studio in 27 boxes. I'm Carmen Murray, tech visionary and lover of innovation and ideation, with my fellow chatterbotter, Jessica McIndoe, social media. Well, just great words as we go.
Oh, you just made me think of Betty Butter bought some butter, but she thought the butter's bitter. If she put it in her batter, then with batter bitter. No, anyway.
That's great. You can see who's the mom here, because I don't know all those rhymes. Oh my God. I remember them, but I don't know them that well. Okay, guys. So for you who have been following us, we have been talking about the art of problem solving. We're now on part 4, where we are unpacking my methodology, which I'm very proud of, by the way.
I'm very proud of you.
I'm really enjoying it.
It's just you've given it lots of work to do. You know this is a lot.
Yes.
That's why people have to come to your masterclass, so they can learn, so you can show them.
It's very hard to cover all of this in 20-minute sessions, but at least it's just getting the idea out there. But it's the 8 Eyes infinity model, and it's basically trying to remove the linear thinking behind problem solving.
Yes.
And we know that problems are not linear, so why should our thinking be linear?
Exactly. So for those of you who are just tuning into the show, the first sort of segment we unpacked was the research. Okay, that was all about our insight and the initiation. Okay, so number 1 for insight on the first section of this was really about thinking first and designing later. Okay, to save yourself in the long run. The second I was initiate, so identifying the right problem, having the 3 buckets as well for when you're dissecting the problem, not going down the wrong path.
And looking at it holistically.
Yes. And then we touch base on inspiration in the second show, where we were talking about fueling creativity and inspiring innovation. And then on the last show, we really talked about improve. So don't copy, but always simulate, innovate, and sort of the history that can inspire the future, about taking a great idea and then adding value to it and solving the real problems. And it's not... it was all about improving what had been done to address the actual problems from the data and all the learnings and everything else. So it was everything tied all together. So if you're wanting to refresh your memory, and for those of you who didn't get to listen to the first 3 parts of the show, you can actually just at Brand Live Radio and ask them for the hashtag WITEE, WITEE, part 1, part 2, part 3. And of course, you can also listen to this one after the show as well, even on the section on the radio on brandlive.co.za. So very excited to continue the journey today, and keep tweeting us, guys.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Jess. You've got a very good memory, I must say.
Yeah.
I'm
not sure by when we get to the 8th eye.
Okay, so just to go back, so the first one, which was obviously the research, now we're unpacking the umbrella of ideation. So the inspiration and improving falls under the ideation umbrella. So now we're at the part of imagination, which is the final point where we are taking you through the process of imagination and the strategic thinking. And this pretty much the co-creation. This is where you get everybody involved. You can't have a good imagination if you don't have people to imagine with.
Yes. You have to have get the creative juices flowing with everybody, because you might think it's cool, but other people might think it's not cool. They might have a good idea. You've got to put all those ideas together.
Correct. I mean, Stephen Johnson talks about. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a quick little. I'm going to try and tell you a quick little story.
She's just joking.
So Stephen Johnson talks about the history of glass.
Mm-hmm.
So the history of glass started where you took sand and you melted it at high heat and discovered that they could make like these artifacts in Egypt, and it was quite phenomenal. And as time evolved, we started all of these little innovations, which led us to today, where we produce 50 million pounds of glass every single year. It's in everything we use, whether it's in a cup, your glasses, your car, your smartphone. And glass plays a very important role for us having access to the internet because of fiber optics.
Yes.
So
Thank goodness for glass.
How our whole life is connected because of glass. But every little innovation that happened with glass happened because of hunches. So as the world becomes more and more connected and the more people come together, the more our ideas connect together, and they connect like a nervous system.
Yes.
So that's why we see when things are happening in the marketplace, innovation, technology, problems being solved, and it's happening so quickly, is because the world is hyper connected.
Yeah.
Where before it took like 100 years to discover spectacles after the printing press.
Yeah.
And now I think it takes like a week and then there's a new solution.
Now the printing presses are closing down.
Like if we look at virtual reality, augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality, the time apart from these three innovations, they almost like intertwined with one another. They're happening almost at the same time.
Yeah.
The one hasn't even had a chance to really spec the market, then the next one's being developed.
Yes.
And yeah.
And as I remember writing a blog about how you could have virtual meetings, and I think it was like, I can't remember how much money you could actually save as a business person by cutting out like flying to the US for a week and your hotel expenses and all. We don't need to have that anymore. Like the whole world is changing. When my folks came and immigrated to South Africa way back in the 80s, like people cried. They were going deep as dark as Africa. Like how were they even going to talk to each other? Now it's like there's Skypes all the time. Skype and Facebook, like... You know, like
WhatsApp call.
Yeah, WhatsApp calls.
I'm loving it.
They've been improving so much. I love it.
Yeah, and I mean, we are going off topic now, but I mean, if we look at Nigeria, like, Nigeria has evolved as a country so much from where it's come. But anyway, let's not get into that because I mean,
we could talk for hours.
Yeah. So. Last week, as mentioned, we dedicate time to improving because we can't create without inspiration. And if you have no foundation to work from, how would you build your way up?
Exactly.
So now you've found the inspiration, you've applied the improvement technique, which is to simulate, innovate, and elevate. Now you get to the idea, the whole creative behind the idea, and how you're going to sell it out to the customer. And this is the fun part, but it's all about collaboration.
And this is probably where most brands start.
Yes.
They forgot about all those other eyes and they're like, let's have a plan.
Exactly. And also the most important thing about the 8 eyes, that's why it's called the infinity eyes, is that you keep on going back to it.
Yeah.
So just because you've handled, it's not linear thinking. So, okay, now, for example, now we're in this, in this process of where we need to do the ideation. So we need to go back into the insights. We need to go back into everything.
Yes, and living, breathing thing.
It's an open loop.
Yes.
And as you need it, you bring it back in. As long as you think of all of the various eyes as you go through the process.
Perfect.
So strategic brainstorming sessions are meant to unleash the boundless imagination of your team and your suppliers and the people that you are partnering with. If you can imagine it, you can create it.
Yes.
So, but you need the right people in the room to extend the imagination. And I truly believe in that because, I mean, like if I think of my brain farts, sometimes people look at me as to like, what just happened? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't express how I'm seeing it in my mind. And I sometimes need people around me to almost break it down for me a bit.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I latch onto that. And these little hunches, when you connect them, you come up this beautiful flower blooming.
Yeah, and the more I think that you have the collaboration in there, like there's no such thing as a bad idea. So the more ideas that you get when you're doing the strategic brainstorming and then putting it all in, you create this amazing thing from all these bright minds that you've got in one room that, you know, that you can draw off. And we often forget to do that.
Yeah.
Is to take everybody's opinions and thoughts and ideas and come up and like let it evolve.
Yes. And I mean, the implementation team at this point in time needs to be in the room. I find that a lot of companies, they anticipate what it needs to be, but they don't have the ability, the technical ability or the design ability,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
don't think of the process. And then when it gets briefed in to the implementation team, they are like, it's not really going to work the way you've put it there. And
Yeah.
now we can't change it. Or they feel too exposed to say, we can't do this because the decision's already made. And people are reluctant to have their voices heard because
Yeah.
they feel they now have to do it because client said so.
Yeah.
You know? So this is a very important part to get all the stakeholders in one room.
It is. It's definitely, I mean, I find that as well that people go, oh, we want to do this. And I go, okay, cool. Let me just ask the developers and let's have a meeting with them as well, because I might say yes because it sounds so cool and we all think it's cool. And then the dev guy goes, well, you know, that's doesn't work like that. And what, did you think of this? And did you think of that? And then you see this thing start evolving that you've got all, it's setting yourself up to solve this problem and have the success that you need in the end.
Yeah.
And sort of feeding into the whole process of all the I's that we've been doing.
Correct. And also very important is not just your developers, but your copy people, you know?
Exactly.
You need to have the copywriters in the room. You know, yesterday actually was quite fascinating for me. We have this project that we're working on, and you know, we've gone through the whole process and it's done. And then at the end, when we're doing the scripting, we're like, oh, this looks cool. And everybody's like, cool. And then you have one person coming in and saying, that copy is not going to work. You will have a major PR crisis just because of 2 words that you've used. And here is the whole reasoning behind it. And you have to start all over again.
Yeah.
And it could be a massive problem. And trust me, those 2 words, we didn't think of them.
No.
And it was really around some things happening in South Africa at the moment, and we were like, we thought it's a very cool idea to highlight it. We then realized that if we do highlight it, there's a lot of unanticipated problems that we are going to face with this. So
Yeah, no, you've got to think about everything. That's why it's so important to ask you. I remember we did a campaign once way back when. There were billboards. There were magazines. It was digital. The website was done. The banners were done. The display ads were done. The social media was done. Everything was done. And we flicked the switch and we went, yeah. And people started phoning the call center. And the call center agents were unaware that there was a campaign that had just launched. So social media went amiss. I phoned in and nobody knows what's going on, and I had to speak to the team leader. And that was then going back on yourself because, you know, we just forgot because we thought we were cool. So you've got to think of every single thing.
Also, just to your point, I also think it's very important when you're going through this process of, it's not just campaigns, it's any type of project that you're working on. You need to really take the time to do it properly, because any project that you rush and you run through it like speed of lightning, you have these crazy deadlines and they're unrealistic, everybody's being thrown under the bus.
Yeah.
And in the end of the day, the amount of money and time that needs to be spent to go and fix those problems afterwards.
Exactly.
I mean, I was listening, it was actually, there's a whole, no, I'm going off. topic, but how Meghan Markle.
That's important stuff we're sharing here. Like, people can lose millions. You can shut your doors if you don't do brainstorming and collaborating.
No, it's very true. And I mean, I have seen that in some scenarios in my career, and it's awful. But Meghan Markle, I was watching a United Nations speech that she was doing, where she was talking about being a little girl of 11 years old, and Procter & Gamble did this this ad where they said women are fighting this losing battle with greasy pots and pans. And she got so angry about it. And then she was at school, and these two boys say, "That's great. That's what women are meant to do, is to be in the kitchen." And it upset her so much. And she was 11 years old. She went to her dad. And she said to her dad, "Dad, what am I supposed?" And he encouraged her to write letters to the most important people she knew. So she wrote to a few kids shows, and she wrote to Hillary Clinton, who was the first lady at that point in time. And she got letters of encouragement and upliftment from all of those people. And she was 11 years old, being an activist. But then, a month later, Procter & Gamble changed the TV ad to "People are fighting a battle against greasy pots and pans, not women." And they had to go and change their whole campaign. The moral of the story is that if you've done all of your research and you've done all of those things in the beginning, you would have understood how it appears. And if you've touched base with your consumers and asked them about it,
exactly,
you wouldn't have made that mistake.
Do you remember the one as well? This is with the whole brainstorming and thinking like the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I remember way back when I was in university, because I love Nando's advertising. And do you remember the ad where there was the guide dog that walked the man into the pole?
Yes.
The guide dog walked the man into the pole to eat the Nando's. I thought it was hysterical. It only aired like that day. They had to take it down because the Guide Dog Association had put in a complaint saying, you can't show our dogs in that light, that they would do that to humans. We're here to help people. And then they'd like change it to like running puppies and stuff, because Nando's is good that way with their ads and stuff like that. But that chat went on for months and months and months.
Yeah.
So you really, really got to concentrate on things like that.
And I do think a lot of things can be prevented if you really just test the market and how things are perceived.
Exactly.
I think focus groups also. I think more focus groups need to happen in an informal way.
Yes.
I think when you pay people and put them in a room and say to them, okay, now please can you go through this process and tell us what you think, etc. People's mindsets are, I have to say something good about this brand, or I have to say, if they know who the brand is behind it.
You shouldn't have to pay for feedback.
You shouldn't be paying for feedback. So you need to go onto the streets and you need to go and find out how people are perceiving this if I had to show you this. Anyway, it's ad time. Oh my goodness.
See you in a minute.
See you in a minute.
Making a bold statement yet blending into the surrounding suburbs of Melville, 27 Boxes is a realization of edgy design and practical implementation. A radical departure from the shopping malls of our generation, yet not a return to the high streets of our youth. 27 Boxes showcases the best of a shopping centre set in a garden, surrounded by the bohemian suburb that is Melville. 27 Boxes, shop, play, eat. Harnessing the power of talk radio. brandlive.co.za.
Welcome back, everybody. You tuned in with the WITEE Chatterbots. You can hashtag WITEE, WITEE. I've got Carmen Murray here with me, and we're going through her eyes, the 8 eyes. And really today we're touching base on the whole ideation and strategic brainstorming and how we sort of go through the infinity of all the eyes and, how to grow your ideas and really the art of problem solving. So I think maybe we can kick off. We were chatting about brainstorming and thinking sort of really like big scale. So yeah, let's share some more insights.
For sure. Thanks so much for that, Jess. Yeah, so this process is from the ideation is all about the imagination. And I think we sometimes need to become kids again. We don't necessarily need beanbags and glass walls to make that happen. But I do think that we do need some pure fundamentals. I like to call it the peace model. Me and all my acronyms.
I can't keep it.
So the peace model that I like to work is, the first one is preparation. The P for preparation, the I for inspiration, which we've uncovered in one of the I's, the E for enthusiasm.
You're the most enthusiastic person I know. Have comment on your group.
And then there's the C for creativity and the E for energy. If you have those 5 components, I promise you're going to have a very successful session. So I have a few ideas that I always like to share. And Jess, please jump in. Like, I would love to hear your input. But I love to share with my clients when we do an inspiration imagination session. So a lot of my clients like to call me the Imagineer. So because I'm this hard drive of case studies, like I don't know, they just come out. Anyway, it's
you
kind
probably
of
have
nice.
like 1 million by now.
Like, it's so nice to be part of these sessions. Oh my gosh, I did this, and we bring it all together and we say, okay, right, let's create a creative environment. So the first one is, I like to kill the rock star. I don't like the rock star vibe.
Video, kill the radio star.
Okay, so the one is kill the rock star. Leave behind the egos.
Yes.
When people come into that room, no egos allowed. Also, no cell phones, by the way.
I know, isn't that so annoying?
No.
Like, do not bring a cell phone into
No.
this room. We are now going to be rock
Close
stars.
that computer, please.
Yes.
Unless it's to find a case study.
Yeah.
But it's you can't. One of my oh no, I'm going off track. Let me just keep it to this. Kill the rock star, because you'll never have a breakthrough with egos.
Yeah, no, and I think it's also like it's a level playing field. So, I think you, the ideation person, I'm the very data person as well.
I'm also a very big data person.
And I have to, when I have these brainstorming sessions, is just sit and also remember to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to, you got to listen.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think there's various ways of listening. But I do think that if you look at it when we were children, having fun is where you become creative and you imagine. Like, it's putting you back into that space of imagine. Like, I was watching this little video of this little boy in Texas standing on the stoop.
Yeah.
And he's pretending the grass is his stage, and he's standing there with his guitar and he's like
I
singing.
used to do that. We had this little thing on our pool, and we had a concert every weekend.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. But that is exactly that. So leave behind the egos. Don't be afraid to be a child in the room. But also, I like to do crazy things, like just to switch it up a bit. So, for example, bring in a water gun or a noisy rubber duck to bring in a point of order in a fun way without offending anyone. So if somebody's having a bit of an ego, you put them on the spot and, do something silly that they can get rid of the ego, because it's not a place for egos.
Yeah. I did that in one of the lectures as well. It was like, I picked on someone about Tinder. Because I didn't know if you swipe left or swipe right.
Yeah.
But it's just to make it fun and light. You can't, you're right, take the ego out of it.
Correct. And also, I think the superiority complex, where some people believe that they're more important than other people, but it's but I mean, that example of the HR, if you look at this girl that was so intimidated by the CEO, and the moment they moved him out, all of a sudden she had a lot to say, and she actually came up with such a great idea. So that's the important part, is that if you leave that superiority complex behind and get rid of the egos, you'll find that people are far more comfortable to let it out.
Yeah.
Okay. The other one is adopt a millennial. Okay.
Aww.
So millennials and the digital natives will always give you a fresh perspective on consumer behavior and the use of technology.
Yeah.
So they will point out what's hot and what's not.
Yes.
So the other day we were doing a shoot, and we had one of the celebrities there, and we had to roll up his trousers for the shoot. And I'm rolling up his trousers.
Oh, lucky you.
I'm on my knees rolling up his trousers. And he goes and he looks down at me and he says, No, that's the old way. We don't do it that way anymore. And he showed me this new technique, which I don't know. Like, this is the way you fold your trousers at the bottom.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are the things that you need. Is you need people to show you what you're not always paying attention to.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think I often say, so I'm lucky enough to have an 18-year-old and an 8-year-old.
Yeah, that helps.
So when
And having you in the middle of all of that.
I remember asking once, going, why is Instagram better than Vine, and why is it working? And she said, well, Vine sucks because the story goes backwards. I said, what do you mean it goes backwards? Because I've never used it. Like, and what happened was is you start your Vine, and then you look very pretty all dressed up. And then by the end of the party, your mascaras run down your face a little bit. So you're not looking the best. And the story started with you not looking your best and then ending up with you looking the best. So that's why it wasn't really bought in. And I think she was 16 at the time there. So very, like even my team at my office, I have my millennials there. They teach me I want them to tell me something every day because I'm old school now. I'm from the 80s.
Oh, please, man. You're only as old as you think you are.
Yes.
Keep
the millennials around.
Anyway, but just on a very serious note, like millennials are probably the most charitable generation of our time. So they are driven by purpose. So if you have purpose in that whole mix, bring a millennial. They are going to show you things that you've never thought of. But also, don't discard the older people because they have a lot of wisdom to put in the mix as well.
Yes,
so,
everyone, #bring a millennial.
Yeah, #bring a millennial. So that one is important, and the combination of this will definitely give you a different approach.
Yes.
Then the next one is create a stage. The producer's giving me time limits, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope I can get through this. But anyway, we're going to give it a go. So if I'm rushing now, I do apologize. The other one is creating a stage, Jess. Like, it's so cool. We all love a bit of an entertainment and drama.
Yeah.
How about as an icebreaker? Divide the people in groups and say to them, okay, right, here's the various problems we need to solve. Come and act it out.
Yes, yeah. I love when you can split up in groups and everybody does something and then you come back together and you share all of that. And
correct.
Yeah,
so
it's the best way.
So act out the problem and do a reenactment of that particular problem. So this particular consumer doesn't know how to access an app and to do their banking on an app. Let's deal with the frustrations that person is dealing with.
Exactly.
And then they reenact that. And then the other person reenacts a branch problem. And you try and bring all of those worlds together and everybody's having a laugh. The rock star is killed in the beginning. You've broken the ice and people start talking freely and giving...
Let the ideas flow.
And create the scenarios for them to think about it and so forth. Then also... the fourth one that I really like to do is, it is a little bit of an effort, is survival kits. So if you're going to have a massive project and a big brainstorming is kind of like prepare a little survival kit for each person that needs to be in the room. So, for example, you can put in a rubber band to remind you to be flexible, a balloon to remind you not to blow up, Smarties to help make good decisions, a Sharpie for the sharpest mind in the room, Red Bull for that extra energy that you need.
This is the ideation lady.
So it's just a fun way to set the tone of your session before it starts, but also give people the background, the research, so that people can come prepared. If you think of the peace model I just broke up in the beginning, people need to come prepared to the sessions. No point and they have no idea what the background is, and then it takes too much time. And if people have research and come with actual ideas, that's when the whole imagination process happens.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I also like to do is the 5 senses of facilitating. Bring in the 5 senses, like have the Rocky song play, and every time when a good idea strike, like bring in the 5 senses, aha moment. Maybe you can have
I like to do the
war
Peter
cry.
Pan.
Yes.
You stand your legs apart, put your hands on your hips, stick your arms out and stick your face up like you're going to take off like Peter Pan, stick your chest out with pride.
Oh my God, here comes a
and
mommy.
And it just honestly makes you feel like, woohoo, let's do this.
It's exactly.
It really works. Try it.
I'm going to try that. Oh my gosh. There's never a dull moment with you, Jess. Oh my gosh. So yeah, when the room gets dull, try and do a fun activity. So I actually went to this one course one day and they had Lego. So with the whole imagination process, they said, here's the problem, here's the Lego blocks, build a solution to that problem
Very
with
cool.
Lego, which I think is awesome because it really gets your mind
tactile.
switched out of it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's a touchy feeling thing. So you're engaging with the problem. I don't know.
It works.
Okay. Then the next one is do it the Leonardo da Vinci way. So Leonardo da Vinci is known for his beautiful paintings, contribution to innovation, and methods that are today the roadmap to successful business strategy.
Yeah.
So he was actually an engineer as well as an artist, and he
didn't
combined
know
both
that.
of those things. And if you
Yeah.
look at the Mona Lisa, the Mona Lisa follows you anywhere in the room, no matter where you are. And he combines science and art to
Yeah.
create that. And that's exactly what you need to do is bring in the data and then bring in the artistic side of it and merge it, and you will see something beautiful emerge.
Awesome.
There is a lot more that I would love to share on this, but right now we have to sign out because our time is up.
Yes, we always get shouted at the end. But it's cool because we've still got some eyes to go through. So, we're going to catch up with you guys. Don't forget to go onto brandlive.coza, have a listen to the show. If you've got any questions, Carmen and I are here to help you. Hashtag us on WITEE because, this is really the way that you actively solve problems.
Yeah.
We'll be sharing more for sure. But this stuff that Carmen's like sharing and her eyes and the principles is absolutely amazing. So
Thanks,
thank you,
Jess.
Carmen.
Oh, thanks for your input. It helps. Really does. Anyway, guys, we're signing out. This is Carmen Murray.
And Jessica McIndoe, and we'll see you next week.
Making a
Arrivederci.
bold statement yet blending into the surrounding suburbs of Melville, 27 Boxes is a realization of edgy design and practical implementation. A radical departure from the shopping malls of our generation, yet not a return to the high streets of our youth. 27 Boxes showcases the best of a shopping centre set in a garden, surrounded by the bohemian suburb that is Melville. 27 Boxes, shop, play, eat. Eat. Eat.